ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله. Brothers and sisters in Islam, this is Imam Karim AbuZaid coming to you live from Denver, Colorado with GuideUS TV. Hopefully, inshallah, trying to answer your questions. First of all, we should apologize for the confusion regarding the live show today and the time. We kept changing it, and it's because of reasons that are outside our control, to say the least, without going through any details. But here we are live. I understand that we been advertising it to be 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, but we decided to go live now maybe for an hour and a half, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, to answer your questions. So the phone number should be shown in the screen shortly, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, so that you can call and ask questions. It's 1-800 number. And if you don't feel like calling us and you would rather simply send us a message, don't forget to email us, karim@guideus.tv. I will be able to receive your questions, inshallah. And I have already received a lot of questions from brothers and sisters who are simply calling, who simply emailed us some of their questions. One of these questions that we tried to explain at the very beginning, this is the 6th show actually we're doing about Zakah. And I always give it that name, the most neglected pillar in Islam. The Zakah is the most neglected pillar in Islam. Why? Because people do not talk about it. And it is so important. That is why we have hungry and needy people in the world, because those people who have the wealth do not share in a way. Alhamdulillah, I'm glad we are at GuideUS TV dedicating a show to this, inshallah. Okay, we have our first caller. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum assalam.
Yes, you are on live on GuideUS TV. Your name and state and question, please.
Okay, my name is Hale, Hail,
Cool.
and my state is Maryland.
And what is your question, Hale?
And my question is about the Zakah.
What is the question?
How much percent of Zakah we need to give for
what you own? Okay, that's a very good general question, and I think it's a good beginning. Again, repeating things that we probably have mentioned in the previous shows, but it's beneficial to remind brothers and sisters of it again. As Zakah, once we say the word Zakah, we're talking about the mandatory act. And that is where a lot of people confuse it with the voluntary act. The mandatory act, you have no choice but to do it, because it's mandatory upon you. It's like praying 5 daily prayers. This is called the Zakah, which is the mandatory act of worship. Now there is something, sometimes also they call it Sadaqah. And that is why we prefer for you to say the mandatory Sadaqah. You could say Zakah or mandatory Sadaqah. Then we're talking about the act that you have to do. Then there are extras, which is, we call it charity, we call it donations, or we call it voluntary Sadaqah, and so forth. But the question that our brother Hill is asking is the mandatory. What is the mandatory? Well, first of all, you must be a Muslim, you must be free, and now we have to look at your wealth. What kind of wealth do you have? If we're talking about checking and savings, cash money, then we tell you that you must possess the value of 595 grams of silver. If you have in your bank account an amount of money that can buy you 595 minimum 595 grams of silver, that means the money, the wealth that you have is zakatable. You have to pay zakah on it, provided there is another restriction to this too, that you maintained ownership of that minimum figure for a whole year, lunar, not Gregorian, not the solar, lunar year. Ramadan to Ramadan, Sha'ban to Sha'ban, Rajab to Rajab, and so forth. Then you have to take 2.5% of this, just 2.5% of this, and give it to the poor and the needy. That is the mandatory amount that you have to pay. Now there is another form of wealth, which is gold and silver. Now, if you have gold in your house that equals 85 minimum 85 grams, that means you that gold is zakatable. This is a minimum, by the way. That means if you have 100, 120, 130, 140, 150, 300, you have to pay zakah on the whole thing. But to reach that minimum, then you know the gold that you have in your house is zakatable. Now, the scholars also said the gold must be added to the cash. Like if you have 80 or 50 grams of gold and you have cash that can complete this, then the whole thing is zakatable. The same thing applies to silver. Now, there are other forms of wealth, very famous here, which is trading in goods, having stocks, having houses for rentals, you're running a business, you have inventory. Anything that is needed as a fixed asset is not zakatable. Like for example, you're renting homes. You don't pay zakah for the actual houses that you rent. Rather, you pay zakah on the revenues from the rental. You calculate how much revenue you receive every year. You deduct your expenses. And if the leftover revenue buys you 595 grams of silver, then that means you have to pay zakah on that sum of money, provided that you owned it for a whole year. There are, if you are running a business, a store for example, all the assets that are used in the Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alaikum salam. Can you hold on? Let me just finish up a quick question. If you have inventory in your house, in your store, if you have fixed assets in your store, you do not pay zakah on these fixed assets. For example, you're running, let's say, a halal store. All the machines that are used to produce the product, you do not pay zakah on it. But you pay on the inventory. You assess and you evaluate and you find out how much its current market value is, and if it reaches that minimum figure, then you pay zakah on it. Of course, there are other forms of wealth that are zakatable, such as treasures, if you find a treasure from ancient times, such as livestock, having camels, sheep and cows, and also crops that would include barley, corn, raisin and dates. But these are not very common here in America, therefore we leave them alone for the time being. Sister, you are live on GuideUS TV. Your name and state and question please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alia, I'm calling from Maryland, and I'm wondering, is the pot equivalent to, or should you use the money if you are not able to fast during the month of Ramadan? Do you pay that separate from the zakat, or do you pay that in addition to the zakat?
Jazakallah khairan, Sister Alia. This is a very good question. The fidya, this is called the fidya. We're talking about zakatul mal. The subject that we're talking about is called zakatul mal. What is zakatul mal? A wealth that you possess for a whole lunar year, hijri yani, a minimum that you have to pay zakah on. What you're talking about is called the fidya. وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ يُطِيقُونَهُ فِدْيَةٌ طَعَامُ مِسْكِينٍ. If a person who has a sharia sanctioned excuse not to fast, whether he is terminally or temporarily or permanently ill, whether he is an elderly person, whether she is pregnant or breastfeeding, cannot fast, those individuals, what they do is they feed for each day one miskin. This has nothing to do with money, with zakah whatsoever. Actually, you're supposed to feed. You're supposed to invite masakin and cook a meal for them and give it to them. And previously in the shows that we made, we actually had almost 8 shows about fasting Ramadan, live Q&As about fasting Ramadan. Previously, we stressed the fact, brothers and sisters, Sister Alia, make sure that you do not give this to the masjid under the assumption to provide iftar for people. No. The money that you give to the masjid to provide iftar is not the money that you pay as a ransom for breaking fast in the month of Ramadan. Yes, it's highly recommended and it's tremendously rewarded in Islam that you provide a meal for a fasting person. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam كما في حديث زيد بن خالد الجهني رضي الله عنه والحديث في السنن, and it's authentic, that a person who provides a meal or even a drink of milk for a fasting person, he gets his reward. But that ransom must go to a miskin. Also another mistake that people do, Muslims, what they do is they put a meal, a big meal in the house, and then they invite their friends and their family members, and then they come to their houses and then they count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, that is not the fidya. That ransom must go to a miskin. You must feed a miskin, Sister Alia. Jazakallahu khaira. We hope we answered your question. Assalamu alaikum. We had a question here, brothers and sisters in Islam, somebody who wanted me again, even so we, alhamdulillah, we explained this, but I think we need to maybe go over it again just to explain to the people what's it about. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum.
My name is I'm calling from Washington area. I wanted to know if you're fasting and you're providing food for people, is it permissible to taste the food before you serve it?
To taste it?
Yeah, like if you're fasting.
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. Jazakallahu khairan for the question. Brother, I guess I should be addressing the sisters and the brothers who are the cooking brothers. I mean, there are brothers who end up cooking as well. That it is permissible for the person who cooks to actually taste the food. And we have an authentic author narrated by Abdullah, a statement that was made by Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, that the people who are cooking, but they end up doing this in the tip of their tongue, because the taste happens on the tongue. So the tip of the tongue, and you spit it right away, and you do not swallow it at all. This way you do not break your fast. Yes, so we say that it is permissible for you to actually taste the food without chewing it or without swallowing it. So the question that we okay, let me take this caller and then we'll answer this question inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you doing, brother?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
What is your name? What is your name?
My question is
Your
the question is about the zakat, for zakatul mal.
You're not going to tell me your name?
Omar Ahmed.
Omar, calling from where, Omar?
From St. Louis,
Toulouse.
Missouri.
Missouri, MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Okay, go ahead, Omar. What is your question?
Yeah, my question is, I would like to know how much percentage I need to pay for the cash for example, 100, for how many percentage?
The zakatul mal, 2.5% of the 100 is what, Omar?
2.5 percentage.
Yeah, is what? How much?
Yeah, shukran, shukran.
Jazakum wa iyaakum, Omar. So the brother who asked me, maybe we'll spend some time answering this question. It's a very interesting question. What is the difference? Okay, let me answer this question first and then we'll go from there. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum assalam.
Yes. How can I help?
I'd like to ask a question.
Okay, what is your question, please?
My question is about the fasting.
What about it?
What is the license to not fast for this month? And if you're sick or if you're old?
Okay, there are people who are exempt from fasting. That would include the sick person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. If you are sick or a traveler, then you make up the days. But the question that we ask ourselves, my dear viewer, I forgot to ask your name, you can tell me later, no problem, is what kind of sickness? What kind of sickness? Okay, let me just, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Can you hold on, please? Can you hold on? I will take your question in a second. Hold on. What kind of sickness? Not every sickness. Not a running nose qualifies you. I want to ask the brothers who call and ask questions, stay on the line with me, because if you hang up, then I have to take another call, and then this would create some confusion. So we have sickness, but not all sicknesses basically qualifies you to break your fast. Sicknesses that would be affected by the fasting. If you are a traveler, but not all the traveling qualifies you to break the fast. Traveling that creates hardship. If you are women who are menstruating, going through their period, or women who are basically going through the post-delivery bleeding. I call them women things. And then we have also the elderly person, and we have also the breastfeeding, the nursing sisters, and the pregnant sister. Okay, we take your question, please. Go ahead. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Okay, what is your question?
My question is, if you do like Ramadan, but you don't pray at all, but you do like Zakat and all the other things except praying, is that?
What is your name? What is your name?
Sumaya.
Sumaya, this is a very good question, Sumaya. You know the first thing, Sumaya, that we're going to be asked about in the day of resurrection?
Yeah, no.
As-salah. The salah. And if the salah is good, then Allah will accept the rest of your deeds.
Okay.
So tell me, is that good then to do all these things without praying?
No.
Okay, good girl. Jazakallah khairan, Sumaya. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Walaikum assalam.
So we have zakah. I guess the brother is asking, as we take these phone calls, inshallah, if we get a break in between, let me give a big essay on the difference between the mandatory and the voluntary. The mandatory sadaqah and the voluntary sadaqah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum salam. Can you turn down the TV, please? Okay.
Sure.
Yes, your name if you want, and your question if you feel
Assalamu alaikum, brother. My name is Laila, and I'm calling from California.
Yes, Sister Laila. What is your question?
My question is, if you miss your prayers almost all of your life, can you pay zakat for that? Or can you make up this, or if you make up by, Zakat, or by...
Okay, let me, Sister Laila, let me understand this. You have not prayed for, not you or somebody else, okay, not necessarily you, but somebody else.
Yeah, it's just a question.
Yeah, okay, somebody who has not prayed all his life or her life, and then they decided from now that they inshallah, they're going to begin praying, right?
Yeah.
What should they do about the past salah that they missed? That's the question. Okay. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, as-salah, as-salah, as-salah. These are the words that the Prophet ﷺ uttered in the bed of his death. As-salah is the first thing. Imagine the day of resurrection is 50,000 years long. And we will be standing before being asked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in some of the wording for 25,000 years. Some of the wording for 300,000 years. 300 years. Some of the wording 150 years. Whatever it is. But then the first question that you will be asked is a salah. About the salah. About the salah. This is a big red zone, and I want to tell my brothers and sisters in Islam who do not pray that there is a considerable number of jurists in this ummah who have declared a person who does not pray to be a non-Muslim, period. And I'm not, this is not my view. This is not my view. This is the view of a considerable jurist in the ummah from the ancient times, from the very early generations, the blessed generations of Muslims. Now, alhamdulillah, if you're still alive, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts the tawbah, period. Allah accepts the tawbah, period. The fact that you want to pray now and keep up with your daily prayers, this is the ideal way to show that you have repented and you have given up this deed. And the fact that you're maintaining your 5 daily prayers is a sign that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has accepted your tawbah. But I go to the question of my sister Layla. What should we do about the past prayers? There are 2 views. View number 1, that you make them up. But this view is no, yeah. Let me just finish. I'll finish up. Just hang in there. View number 1, that you make up these salahs, okay? But this view is not backed by evidence whatsoever. Add to this is not practical. View number 2 is you do not have to make it up, because the salah is a timely act of worship. It's confined to a certain time. Dhuhr is from the time when the sun scoots over from its zenith, the middle of the horizon, all the way until the shade of an object is its equal. Beyond that, you cannot pray dhuhr. The only excuse is that you could pray dhuhr is man nama an salatin aw nasiyaha. If you have slept through that time or you have forgot, then you could make up the salah. Or if you are a traveler, or if you are a sick person who has an excuse. فالشاهد, the answer is, what you need to do is you need to make tawbah, and you need to make sure that you maintain your 5 daily prayers, and you pray as many voluntary salats as possible, hoping that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will subsidize these voluntary salats for the mandatory that you missed. And there is an evidence that backs this, the hadith which is in the Sahih, that when the angels tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah knows best, Allah does not need to be informed, but the angels will tell Allah, the salah of this particular servant is short, is not complete. Allah will ask the angels to complete it from the voluntary. So what you should do, tawbah, maintain your 5 daily prayers, pray as many voluntary as possible. Zakah does not make up for this, or any other act does not make up for this. Jazakallah khairan, Sister Layla.
Thank you.
All right. ما الفرق بين الزكاة والصدقة? What is the difference between the mandatory sadaqah and the voluntary sadaqah? Now we agreed that the mandatory sadaqah is called zakah. The voluntary is called sadaqah. طيب. الزكاة في اللغة, let's use the word zakah, sadaqah. Zakah versus sadaqah. Once we say zakah, we're talking about what? The mandatory, the one that you have no choice. If you qualify, If your wealth is zakatable, you have to. Otherwise, you're going to be doomed in this world. You're going to be punished, and it's not going to be fun. Okay, let's take that question. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum salam. My name is Amina. I'm calling from Boston. I wanted to know, if you're when you're fasting, and you say you drink some water, but unknowingly you forget or something, does it still break your fast?
Sister Amina, right? Is that out of forgetfulness? Out of forgetfulness, you're not paying attention that you're fasting, right? You took a drink of water without paying attention that you're fasting. True?
Yes.
Okay, the Prophet ﷺ said in this regard, "Man akila aw shariba nasiyan," whoever eats and drinks out of forgetfulness, let him complete his fasting or her fasting, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided for him or her a drink and a meal. فَإِنَّمَا أَطْعَمَهُ اللَّهُ وَسَقَى. And the hadith is authentic, and this is the evidence. Jazakallahu khairan, Sister Amin.
Brother, what if you have to take medicine?
Taking medicine through the throat, pills, drinking medicine does invalidate your fast. But taking shots or other forms of medicine through other parts of your body does not invalidate your fast. But swallowing drinking medicine or pills, it does invalidate your fast, and you have to make up this day. So I would recommend for you to take it before Fajr or after the sunset. And if you have to do it, then you're sick, you have an excuse to break your fast, so you have to do it, then you can make up this day afterwards, inshallah. Jazakallahu khairan.
Alright, what happened? Thank you.
طيب, the difference, we said we wanna talk about the difference between, we said zakah and sadaqah. Okay, let's go after the definition. What is a zakah linguistically? Az-zakatu fil lugha. Zakah linguistically means growth. Okay, let's take this question. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Naam, please go ahead with your name, state and question, please.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. My name is Jamila Muhammad. I'm calling from Canada and Alberta.
Yes, and what's your question?
My question is, brother, and my husband, he's upset with me for 2 weeks. So I told him, and I'm sorry, whatever I did to you, but I didn't do anything, I know. So still he's upset me, and that's my diet, this is my fasting.
Okay, your husband is upset with you, and he's still upset. Does this break your fast? That's a question.
No, because if he's upset at house and I'm fasting, but he's not fasting, he's diabetic. So I have a problem with her, and I told him, I'm sorry whatever are upset. So still he's not letting me go. So I scare Allah will be upset about me, and my fast is not valid. No,
if your husband is upset, okay, if your husband is upset with you, this does not invalidate your fast. But now we have to treat this issue separately, away from fasting. Things that invalidate fast are eating, drinking, having a relationship with your spouse during the course of the day of Ramadan, vomiting intentionally. These are different issues. But now let's look into why your husband is upset with you and try to make up with him, inshallah. All right? And if your husband is listening, ya akhi, forgive, yani, let's forgive one another, okay? If Allah forgives, yani, we go and do all type of sins.
I'm not saying if you don't accept your all good deeds you make, if you are not, both of you talking each other, that's why I'm worried about it. So
no, ya ukhti, no, yani, we all do make mistakes, ya ukhti, ya sister. We all make mistakes, huh? I'm not perfect, you're not perfect, he's not perfect. Alhamdulillah, as long as you're saying to him that I'm sorry, I made a mistake, come on, yeah, the man should forgive, come on. I mean, let's forgive one another, okay? We're not angels here, okay? We're not angels. None of us is an angel, okay? We're all subject to error and making mistakes, so we should forgive one another. So
Allah is gonna upset about me. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, أختي, my sister, I don't know what you have done, and I don't know if whether Allah is upset about you or not. But the fact that you're telling me that you asked him, you told him that you're sorry, and you told him that you made a mistake, the fact that you're confessing, that you're admitting to your wrong, and this is a key. This is a corner. I call it a cornerstone for being accepted again by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and by the individual. If a brother makes something wrong towards me, commits an offense against me, and then he comes, sorry brother, you know, I made a mistake, khalas, that's it, that should be it. Inshallah. But
So the issue is here only the food. I make her some good. I didn't make a good food. That's why he's upset. So I did my part, and I
Allahu Akbar, you didn't make good food. Why didn't you ask him to cook? I'm just teasing. Yeah, come on, brother. I mean, good food. Come on. Yeah, come on, brothers. I mean, let's help one another here, okay? Jazakallah khairan, sister, inshallah. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. فالزكاة. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Walaikum salam.
Yes. Your name, state, and question, please.
My name is Hiba Nasser. I'm 10 years old, and I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
What is your question?
The night of journey when our Prophet Muhammad meet Allah, did he see Allah and talk to him face to face, or did he hear his voice?
Okay, we have, that's a very good question, asking about whether the Prophet ﷺ saw Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the night of the Ascension, Laylat al-Ma'raj, or no. We have two views, view of Ibn Abbas and view of Aisha radiallahu anha, okay? And a lot of people, they think that they are conflicting views. Actually, absolutely not. They are complementing one another. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma affirms that Allah, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam saw Allah. But then he identifies what he saw. He said, Ra'aytu nura. I saw a light. طيب. Aisha radiallahu anha negates. She says no. من قال أن رسول الله رأى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ليلة المعراج فقد أعظم الفرا. Whoever says that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw Allah in the night of Ascension is not correct. Now what Aisha meant is Allah, not the light. So there are two complementing accounts, because we have hadith Abi Musa al-Ash'ari رضي الله عنه والحديث في الصحيح في صحيح مسلم إن الله لا ينام. Allah does not sleep. وَمَا يَنْبَغِي لَهُ أَنْ يَنَامْ. And it is not befitting for Allah to sleep. يَغْفِضُ الْقِسْطَ وَيَرْفَعُ. He lowers people and put down people. Okay? يُرْفَعُ إِلَيْهِ عَمَلُ اللَّيْلِ قَبْلَ عَمَلِ النَّهَارِ وَعَمَلُ النَّهَارِ قَبْلَ عَمَلِ اللَّيْلِ. And beautiful hadith. And then the Prophet ﷺ says, حِجَابُهُ النُّورِ. The veil of Allah is the light. So to answer your question, the Prophet ﷺ saw a light in the day in the night of Ascension. Jazakallahu khayran. طيب. الزكاة is linguistically means النماء والبركة والتطهير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
السلام عليكم. شلون برا؟
وعليكم السلام.
I have a question. I don't know how many I have been going to, I don't know how many, I've been fasting for the past 5 or 6 years, and maybe in the past 3 or 4 years, I don't know how many, fastings I've missed. So I was wondering, should I just pay, or should I just, I don't know how many I've done, how many should I do?
How old are you? Were you above the age of puberty?
Yeah.
And you did not fast?
No, I didn't fast.
Why?
I fasted for the past.
Why يا راجل؟ why يا راجل؟ why؟ هذا من أركان الإسلام. أركان الإسلام. Let me ask you this. Did you begin fasting and then you broke your fast during the course of the day?
No, I was fast, but then, some days I was missed.
No, let me ask you. You see, I wanna figure out what you need to do now. Let me ask you this question. Okay, let me ask you this question. Did you, like in the morning, at night, you began fasting, and then at 10, 11 o'clock, you said, you know what, I'm gonna break my fast today?
No, I wouldn't. I was just like, some days, like if I were to, throw up, they say your fast breaks. and just like, just days I wouldn't miss them, just like maybe 4 or 5 days out of each year.
Okay, then why don't you make them up?
So I should just make them all up?
Yes, please. And may Allah accept from you. May Allah accept from you and forgive you. And please don't go back to this again. You know the punishment for this?
What is it?
The Prophet ﷺ was taken in a journey by Jibreel and Mikael, and he saw people hanging from their heels, their heads down in the hellfire, and their mouth, plural, mouth with an S at the end, are bleeding. The lips are bleeding, blood is coming down. Then the Prophet ﷺ asked, who are those, my brother Jibreel? Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam said to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, those who do not fast in Ramadan when they are supposed to fast. So be careful, it's a major sin in Islam. Besides, you miss on a great reward. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you and give you strength to begin fasting and to make up these days, inshallah. Jazakallahu khairan, brother. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Okay.
فالزكاة, the mandatory means growth, means barakah, blessing. Zakah means barakah. Because people they think that you're going to take your money out. La barakah means growth. Means growth. The word zakah means to grow. Your money will grow when you take some out of it and give it to the poor and the needy, out of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also it means at-tathir. It purifies your wealth. The earnings, some of our earnings are unlawful. So the zakah purifies your earnings, your money. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
My name is Yusuf.
I can't hear you. You need to speak up, please.
My name is Yusuf. I'm in Toronto, Ontario. My question is playing cards in Ramadan haram?
Why do you play cards? Why don't you open the Quran and read the Quran, or read a story? That's what we should do in Ramadan. This is a very precious time. A very, very, very precious time. You understand? But it does not invalidate your fast. It wastes your time. It takes away from your reward. But if you do it, playing cards is amusement that is unlawful, because it takes you to become interested in gambling in the future and all that stuff. It's a path to destruction. Stay away from it, okay?
Okay.
Jazakallahu khairan. Good man. Look at this. As-zakah is zakah because people think that when you take your money out and give it to the poor and needy, they think that you... Okay, let me take this question. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Yes, you have a question, please?
Yes, I have a question. My question is, my name is Ali.
Okay.
And my question is, can you tell me about the importance of the last 10 days of Ramadan?
This is a very good question, by the way. The last 10 nights of Ramadan, inshallah, we will, after we're concluding with zakah, we're going to do zakah tomorrow. And actually, beginning Monday, inshallah, we're going to talk about the preciousness and the value of the last 10 nights of Ramadan. I call them the golden nights out of the year, the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And there you waste them enough that in them there is a night better than 1,000 months. إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْقَدْرِ لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ خَيْرٌ مِّنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ. The night of Al-Qadr is hidden in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Why don't you keep watching us, Hani, inshallah, Monday show, and we're actually going to begin preparing people for the last 10 nights of Ramadan, inshallah. Jazakallahu khaira. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. طيب. الزكاة النماء والبركة والتطهير. Growth, blessing, and tathir. So it purifies you. It purifies you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum. So it purifies you. First of all, it purifies your soul from stinginess. Because by default, brothers and sisters in Islam, we are all inclined to keeping. This is mine. This is mine. I don't want to let go. I don't want to let go. Now, if you take and give, then you cure yourself from that disease of withholding. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
My name is Jenna from Boston. I wanted to know what breaks your fast besides eating.
Okay, how old are you, Jannah, first?
I'm 12.
Okay, then there are things that we will not tell you, but I'm gonna just tell the things that I can tell you. Number one is eating and drinking intentionally. Number two, vomiting intentionally. Vomiting intentionally. Number three, leaving Islam during a day of Ramadan. Number four, listen to this, Jannah, listen to this. You're fasting, and then at one stage during the day you say, you know what? I'm not gonna fast. I'm gonna break my fast. And you resolve in your heart, meaning you intend with a strong will in your heart that you're breaking your fast. Your fasting is invalid even if you do not eat and drink, and you have to make up this day. You have to continue fasting and you have to make up this day. There are other things that vomiting, did I tell you about vomiting intentionally? That you place your mouth, your finger in your mouth, for example, and you vomit. This will, but if you vomit unintentionally, unwillingly, then this does not invalidate your fast. Jazakallah khairan Jannah. There are other things that because of your age, I will not share it with you, okay? Maybe you need to ask your parents about it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. طيب. What about sadaqah? So we said zakah means purification. So it purifies your wealth from the haram earnings or the grayish area earnings, and it purifies your nafs from stinginess, because by default we're all stingy, and it purifies the nafs of the poor people. Once they see that you're a rich person and you're sharing, they are not going to envy you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, what is your question, please?
What if after you break your fast, can you play around with people and tease them?
After you break your fast, you tease people. You like tease them about what?
Like let's call, like joke with them and
Be funny, yani?
yeah.
Getting some attention, you mean? I mean, you don't have to do this, but if you do it, it's okay, as long as the jokes, the content of the jokes are okay. Huh?
Okay.
Yeah. Jazakallah khairah. طيب. So this is sadaqah. This is zakah, which is the mandatory. So it helps your wealth to grow. It will help the growth in the growth, or it will lead to the growth of your wealth. It will bless your wealth, and it will purify you from stinginess. It will purify your wealth from the grayish earnings, the gray area earnings, and it will purify the soul, the nafs of the recipients. Instead of envying you, they will wish for you to be richer. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum.
عليكم السلام.
نعم تفضل يا أخي.
Brother Karim, AbuZaid.
Yes, how are you?
Good, alhamdulillah. My name is Safar Salman.
Safar?
Safar Salman.
From where, ya Safar?
Alhamdulillah. I'm coming from Falcon, North Dakota.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Islam is going all over the earth. You know the Prophet ﷺ, Safar, you know the Prophet ﷺ, one day he was sitting with his companions in the desert in Mecca, in Medina, in the desert, 1400 plus years ago. You know what he said to them? لَيَبْلُغَنَّ هَذَا الْأَمْرُ مَا بَلَغَ اللَّيْلُ وَالنَّهَارُ. This religion will reach every spot in the face of this earth. And subhanallah, aren't we testifying to this? Yani, aren't we testifying? Here is North Dakota, here is this, subhanallah. Go ahead, Safar, with your question, please.
Yes, brother, I have a question. When you're praying, can you wear shorts down to your knees?
Yani, it is not recommended. Your prayer is valid. Why? Because the awrah of a man, as long as it's below the knees, at all times of the salah, by the way, we have to be careful with this, because sometimes we see brothers who wear shorts that reaches just at the knee. And then when they bend because of the ruku' or because of the sujood, then the shorts will pull up and then the awrah will be exposed. But if you maintain the shorts to be below the knee throughout the salah in all positions, the salah is valid. But ya akhi, yani subhanallah, we say to the brothers, you're standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yani Abdullah ibn Abbas he bought a garment, the most expensive garment, thawb yani, like the one that I'm wearing. Not like this one, but more expensive than it. And you know, he dedicated, he would only wear that garment for praying at night. Praying at night. Yeah, you're getting the spirit of my answer here? جمل نفسك لله. جمل نفسك لله. Purify yourself for Allah. إن الله جميل يحب الجمال. Allah is beautiful. He likes you to look beautiful. Purify yourself for Allah. When we go outside, when we go outside and we meet other people in the outside, we make sure that we're looking good and cool. What about Allah? As-salah is a connection between you and Allah, is a meeting between you and Allah. Look beautiful for Allah. All right? Jazakallah khairan, Safar.
Thank you.
طيب, what about الصدقة? So this is the zakah. What about صدقة? الصدقة في اللغة. All right, let me take this question. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Naam, your question please. Name, state and question.
Hamza from Colorado, and the question is, what is exactly the cash value of 195 grams of silver to be paid?
Hamza, do I know you, Hamza? You sound so familiar. Are you the Hamza I know?
Yes, I'm the Hamza.
Okay, inshallah. How you doing? MashaAllah. So what is the question again, Hamza? I'm sorry. I was consumed with figuring out your voice. Is that him or not? So that's go ahead. What is your question? I'm sorry. You know, you're my countryman, Hamza. You're my countryman. Inshallah. Go ahead.
Well, I'm wondering, what is the cash value of 195 grams of silver to be paid?
I would recommend for you to call a jeweler, a jewelry shop, or go online. Quite frankly, I don't know. But to my knowledge, I think the last time I checked was like 1,000 plus, yani 1,000 and something. It's ways below the gold, and that's why you probably have heard me mentioning the two nisab, the 85 grams of gold and the 595 grams of silver. You see, a lot of the jurists, they said let's go with the silver because it's ways below, because the gold I think is up to 3,500 now or something like that. The 85, you have to check it, so I don't know, but the grams of silver are ways less in value, and that is why this will qualify a lot of people to pay zakah. But quite frankly, I don't know. So you need to call and or go online and check out the value. Jazakallah khair, Hamza. Yes. All right. You still have a question, Hamza?
Well, I was just, because I've heard some people say gold. So you base it off the lowest one, which is silver?
You see, there are two views. View number one, you see, what you need to do is you're trying to measure and figure out the cash money or the savings that you have is zakatable or not. And the variable that is used, or the two variables that are used for this, gold and silver. But now the nisab, the minimum figure, the minimum number of grams of gold is 85 grams. طيب, silver is 595 grams. But now the value of silver is ways less than gold. So if you go for the gold, you're okay. But jurists, a lot of jurists recommend that you go with the silver because this way you get to pay zakah. But if you just base it, so if you base it on gold, is accepted. You have definitely a supporting number of jurists who said it's okay. But they recommend that you go for the silver because this way you will qualify, the silver will qualify more zakah payers. And you're probably hearing, Hamza, about the hunger in Africa and for Somal and the economy now and all of this. And like I said, if we go through the benefits of giving zakah are tremendous. So that's why we say that silver is highly recommended. I hope I clarified something for you.
Absolutely. Jazakallah.
وإياكم حمزة. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. طيب. What about sadaqah? So we talked about zakah. What about sadaqah, which is the voluntary aspect of this? طيب. الصدقة في اللغة. Sadaqah linguistically means صدق, truthfulness. What do you mean by this? Meaning, if you take it out and give it, is a sign of your truthfulness. How? Okay, like I always said, by inclination, we all are in love with money. طيب, I ask you then, do you love Allah or not? Of course you're gonna tell me, wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh, just hang in there. Do you love Allah or not? Then you're gonna tell me, yes, I love Allah. Then I'm gonna ask you, can you take some of your money and give it to the one whom you love? Allah? Here is the test. This will show you whether you love money more than you love Allah or not. So, because in order for you to give something that you love, you must give it up to someone whom you love. Whom you love as well. So that is why as-sadaqah is an evidence. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum assalam.
Yes.
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. How can I help you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. My name is Imam. I'm calling you from Wisconsin. And my question is, if you can tell me about the night of the Ascension. And, you know, I heard that we should be at the mosque at the odd nights. And tell me how, if you can describe this for me, please.
The night of the Ascension or Laylat al-Qadr?
Yes.
Yeah, because the Ascension is al-Mi'raj. Ascension is al-Mi'raj, and we don't even know which night is this. But Laylatul Qadr, it's very virtuous. And by the way, inshallah, again a reminder, beginning Monday, inshallah, we're going to begin talking to our brothers and sisters in Islam about the value and the preciousness of the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Laylatul Qadr, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that man qama Laylatul Qadri imanan wa ihtisaba غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه. Whosoever stands in qiyam, in worship, whether it is salah, whether it is remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Laylatul Qadr imanan wa ihtisaba, out of belief and wanting the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will forgive all your previous sins. Can you imagine just one night? One night. But here is an issue. First of all, to answer the question of my brother there, Omar, who's calling from Wisconsin, I believe. The issue here is, do you have to be in the masjid? You do not have to be in the masjid, but it's highly recommended to be in the masjid these nights. But I'd rather take you to another area where a lot of Muslims are confused about, which Muslims believing that Laylatul Qadr is just the night of the 27th. So يهمك طول Ramadan, throughout Ramadan, he does not go to the masjid, and then he goes the night of the 27th. And he thinks that's it, he got it. Ya ikhwa, my brothers and sisters in Islam. There are four basically possibilities here for Laylatul Qadr. Number one, the last 10 nights of Ramadan, meaning beginning with the night of the 20th of Ramadan. The last odd numbers in the last 10 nights of Ramadan, meaning the 21st, the 23rd, the 25th, the 27th, the 29th. And then the third possibility, the night of the 25th, the night of the 27th, the night of the 29th. And here is the highest possibility, which is the night of the 27th. So now if you're going to go with just this one, possibilities that you have already missed it. So to be in the safe side, you should stick to observing ibadah the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And that is why the Prophet ﷺ used to do i'tikaf in the masjid the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And he has mentioned that I do this seeking Laylatul Qadr. I hope I answered your question, Brother Omar. Jazakallahu khairan. طيب. Now, الصدقة, like we said, we still have 10 minutes, right? 8 minutes? 6 minutes. Okay. Maybe we can just go on with the definition and we finish this tomorrow, inshallah. طيب. الصدقة في اللغة is a sign for your truthfulness, that you are truthful about your claim that you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, that you believe is a testimony. The sadaqah testifies that you believe in the next life. Because I'm asking you to give voluntary sadaqah. And then I'm telling you Allah will give you this and this and this and this in the day of resurrection. طيب, do you believe in the day of resurrection or not? That's the question. If you do, then you will give. If you do not believe in the day of resurrection, you will withhold. And that is why the Prophet ﷺ in Hadith Abi Malik al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anh said, وَالصَّدَقَةُ بُرْهَانٌ, and the sadaqah is an evidence. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Caller, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
اتفضل يا.
It's Muhsin from New York City.
كيف حالك أخي محسن؟
الحمد لله. كيفك يا حبيبي؟
الله يعزك يا رب. تفضل أخي محسن.
I have two questions. The first question is, if you pay Zakah using a credit card or a check, and it's delayed, it's not taken out of your account till after Eid, after Ramadan, is it still acceptable?
And you're gonna pay riba for it, right?
No riba.
يعني no riba, خلاص, it's okay as long as you're gonna pay it on time. But again,
what I'm saying is that,
yeah, go ahead.
What I'm saying is, let's say you pay with a check, and that the organization takes the checks, but they take a long time to deposit it.
As long as you have dispersed the money from your side, you're done.
That's it. Okay, that's it. The second
But there is a but to this, which is, if you find out that they have not collected it at all, then you have to take it to them or give it to other people if they are not interested about it.
Right.
Okay. Second question.
The second question is that, let's say a year goes around the wealth that you have, but it had a different month than Ramadan during the year. Do you pay it then at that moment, or you wait till the next Ramadan comes around?
Ya ikhwa, wallahi, I'm very happy that you asked this question. Ya ikhwa, ya Muhsin, ya ikhwa, my dear viewers. The zakah is due on the day the hawl ended. If it ends in Rajab, in Sha'ban, in Jamada, you have to pay it. Yes, deeds are multiplied in Ramadan. I agree. You can set yourself, you can set your payment of zakah in Ramadan. But I'm telling you, delaying the payment of the due poor zakah mandatory will lead to a lot of damages to your wealth, so you need to pay it right away. So what I recommend for my brothers and sisters in Islam who want to pay their zakah in Ramadan is to pay it in advance. Like the next hawl, go ahead and start giving some in advance. But do not delay it, Brother Muhsin. And I'm glad somebody asked this question. Jazakallahu khairan.
شكرا جزاك الله خير.
وإياكم. طيب, I believe we still have 3 minutes. طيب, at least we defined what is zakah and what is sadaqah. Zakah is sadaqah. طيب, this is the linguistically. What about technically? You see, when the jurists define something, they define it in the language. What does it mean in the language? And what does it mean in the technical? The technical meaning the application of this. The applications, the applied definition of the term zakah and the applied definition of the term sadaqah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. يا شيخ أنا عندي سؤال. Is it okay if I speak in Arabic?
Yeah, but I will have to translate inshallah. What is your name? ما اسمك؟
لبيبة حمودة.
من فين يا أختي؟
أنا من سان دييغو.
طيب.
أصلا فلسطينية.
أهلا بيكي، أهلا أختي لبيا، تفضلي تفضلي.
أنا عايزة بس أطمن على أنا عندي بيت وبدفع مورجج، وعندي شقة في البلاد، وعندي أسهم. هل أدفع على هؤلاء كله زكاة ولا كيف بدي أدفع زكاة؟
طيب أنا because you brought up the issue of mortgage, I have to tell you, because if you bring it to me I'm going to speak about it. Mortgage is riba, is usury. You're paying usury.
شو أعمل؟
خلاص سيبيها يعني. I have to say it. I have to say it because I have to say it. Now let's go to the zakah issue. Did you buy these properties with the intention of investment or homes?
لا هو.
خلاص, you do not have to pay anything on them. As long as your intention was not to invest in them, and you just purchase those for homes, the one in Lebanon and the one in here, خلاص, you don't pay zakah on it. But the other one, the stocks, is zakatable. You have to pay zakah on it. Because لا على كله. You call your broker or you go online and you find out how much is the market value of today, the day of the hawl, the day when the hawl is over, how much, and then you take 2.5% of this and give it to the poor and the needy.
طيب شكرا كثير.
جزاك الله خيرا. جزاك الله خيرا sister. جزاك الله خيرا. طيب I can tell brother Ijaz is telling me right now that my time is up for our time is up is today. I always enjoy. I just want to let you know, Ijaz, tomorrow we're going to go 2 o'clock, right? Tomorrow inshallah 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time we're going to go live, and hopefully we'll be able to do an hour and 15-20 minutes inshallah. So please call us tomorrow and we will finish. Tomorrow, by the way, will be the last show about zakah. Of course, you could ask in the future, but tomorrow will be the last show about zakah. But beginning, inshallah, Monday, I just want to let my brothers know that we're going to talk, we're going to gear you up, get you motivated for the last 10 nights of Ramadan. An appeal, please, before I go. GuideUS TV, in order for it to stay on the air, we need your help. Please give some of your sadaqah to GuideUS TV this month to keep shows like this on the air because of the logistics and the needed finance to keep these shows on. Maybe we'll talk to you a little bit more about this in the future as well. I'm your host, Karim AbuZaid. I love you all for the sake of Allah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive me for any wrong words that I have said. And if I have said something that is wrong, it's from me and my shaitan, which should be chained, but maybe he whispered to me. But whatever I said good, inshallah, and correct is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, see you tomorrow, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, inshallah, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Till then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm good? Yeah. All right, that was good today. Assalamu alaikum, Omar, Hani, Ismail, Ali. Man, what is this? Yeah, I know. That was good because previous announcement, because we kept advertising it that we're gonna go at a certain time, and it never happened. So I'm glad but we ended up with a lot of